Listen up. It's time for a politically entertaining exclusive interview.
Joining us today on Politically Entertaining, he is a highly sought-after photographer in Mobile, former high school basketball coach, Mr. Dwight Ladd of Ladd Photography. Thank you for joining us today, sir.
Oh, man, I appreciate the opportunity, man.
All right, cool, man. I really want to thank you for making the time. Before we get started, well, actually, we are getting started. I read an article on you several months ago, actually. It was on, I want to say, fox10tv.com. And in the article, you stated about once you quit high school and began your photography profession full-time, that you had some tough times financially. You told this great story, I thought, of how at one point you had like $50 to your name, like literally. Like you stressed that, like it was no excess money in an account somewhere. It was like $50 to yourself, literally. And you and your wife, your ritual was to go to a particular restaurant on Sundays, and on this particular day you felt like you couldn't, so you suggested that you guys go to a pizza restaurant. And I think she wanted to order like an appetizer, and that part wound up working out for you. But I guess my question is, was she aware of the totality of your financial strife at the time? And if not, was that something you like kept from her because you knew it would cause more drama, or was she just not? Was she so used to the ritual of you guys going to that restaurant that she didn't think about it at the time?
Actually, man, she had no clue. It's just something that, like me, being a man, the provider or whatnot, I just felt like it was my responsibility to figure it out,
Right.
And most times, we get into it has to be something like pretty, well, I mean, that was pretty dire, we were in dire straits at that time, but I just really kept believing that, it was going to turn around, even though it was like that dang, man, we're like at rock bottom at this point. She had no clue because I didn't want to pass that stress on to her because I didn't feel like she needed to be like stressing over it, so it didn't dawn on her when I suggested the pizza spot, because it was new and we like to try new spots. So she didn't think anything of it. I just knew the fact that if it's pizza, okay, it can't exceed $25-30, So, and it was really like it was so, to me, it was still spiritual, man, because, when we went, every time we go out to eat, like, we just love to eat. We're foodies, and we always get appetizers, like always. And so I knew I didn't have the cash to get one, and she was looking at, she's like, those cheesy sticks look pretty good. You want to try them? And I was like, I don't know. So she was like, okay, we'll try them next time. So when we sat down, one of the servers came by and was like, did y'all order these cheesy sticks? And we were like, no. He was like, well, nobody claims them, they're y'all. Then he walked around a few minutes later. He came back and put them on the table. And to me, that was a sign right there that, like, God still got us regardless. I mean, it may seem like trivial to other people, but to me, it spoke volumes because I know how we do when we go out. And it was just crazy, man. It's like things just turned around, like, when you saw, you read the story, I only had the $50, spent like somewhere between 25 and 29 on dinner, and I was just trying to get home so I could have, like, be able to give my wife, like, lunch money, like when she goes to work, because, she was teaching at the time. She's a counselor now. I just wanted to give her at least $5, to grab lunch. And, dude, literally, we ran out of gas, like, right before we turned into our subdivision. And it was just like, man, I just need this car to crank back up so I can get to the gas station. I made it to the gas station. I put $20 in gas in the car. I hated to do it. I just wanted to get home in my car because her car already had gas in it. I just needed to get home. Put $20 in the car, man, and had like $5 left, period. And a client called me like early that next morning and PayPal me like a huge deposit. And it was just like, I was at rock bottom, and it's like, boom. They came through, paid, and then, it was like kind of like a little cycle after that. And we haven't been that low since that situation. So it was definitely a test of my faith.
That's great. There's also I invite you all to go and check out that article. I guess you can, like, Google Dwight Ladd, and it'll pull up. because there's another miracle within that story about you buying a piece of equipment that you had no money for and the person in line volunteered to pay for it. So I invite everybody to check out that article, fox10tv.com with Dwight Ladd. I wanted to ask you, I know I assume you mostly photograph weddings or whatnot, and sometimes my wife, she watches like Bridezilla and those types of shows. Without naming any names, do you have any experience photographing any wedding, any diva brides, difficult people that you had to work with?
Man, I'm gonna be real, man. And this is honest. Honest. This is just real talk. I've shot like maybe 160, 170 weddings. I can honestly say I've only had like 2, maybe 3 Bridezillas at the most. Like, I feel so blessed and fortunate that that's all I've had. But this is the crazy part. Those 2 to 3 that I've had would make it seem like 15 or 20. They like, oh man, I had one in particular without naming any names. She got her album preview. The album preview. She changed it because I allow clients like 2 to 3 chances, opportunities to make revisions to the album. They want to change some pictures around, change some pages around. She changed her album 7 times.
Wow.
I had to go back and make those changes. And on the last one, she said, you know what? I just went back and looked at the first preview you sent me, and it's exactly what I want. Can we just go with that?
You got to be kidding me.
I am not. I can't make this stuff up, man. I can't make it up. And I was just like, like, what do you do? So all that time just gone. But, yeah, I've only had 2 or 3 of them, and so I feel fortunate and I feel blessed in that regard.
That's funny. So I'm gonna get a little serious on you here, Dwight. So don't get mad here. But I know one thing that definitely your passion, knowing your story. I know your father passed away, 11 years ago, and it was kind of a sudden thing. And I just wanted to know, based on everything you've gone through, your success now, what's one thing that you would tell your dad if he was here now about what you've been through and your success in photography?
Oh, wow. Wow, that's a good question, man. Because my dad did so much. He was he was teaching driver's ed and coaching basketball at Viger. The job I actually went and took. He was doing that. He was selling life insurance. He was doing a lot. I really think, man, if I was able to talk to him just at this point, just being able to tell him and let him see that I found my passion and I'm able to operate in my passion. I don't think my dad did a lot of things, but I don't think he ever planted his flag in one particular I would say business or career. He did the teaching and the coaching, but that was just for security purposes, just to have that solid or set income. But I mean, he sold life insurance. He dealt with mortgage reduction. I mean, cell phone company. He did a lot, but it's he never could solidify himself in one because of the time. And I just that's one thing I would tell him. If you had put all those marbles or all that time into one of those companies or one of those businesses, it would blow up. But watching him be successful, even with the time he put into his business, I mean, I was soaking all of that up. Me and my brother, coming up, it's just we didn't know anything else but to work or but to hustle just from watching him. So it's he even dabbled in. That's what a lot of people don't know. He even dabbled in photography. My mom bought him a camera. Now he didn't know. Of course, he didn't know any of the real techniques. He had no formal training. He just kind of learned just by shooting, but he never had any professional lighting. He had a flash that he put on top of his camera, but he hustled in that too. So I just learned pretty much my work ethic came from watching him. Even with the coaching. So I'm out all of that, but I feel fortunate that I was able to find something that I was passionate in and operate in it. I was passionate about coaching. It was hard to leave coaching, especially those guys, because a lot of those kids don't have father figures. And they look up to you in so many ways. It was really tough to leave it, pursue the photography full time, but I knew we were getting ready to start a family, and I knew the time restraints when it comes to coaching and teaching. There's so much time involved with that. And being I was going to start my own, I just had to be cognizant and just really make a conscious decision as to, what move I was going to make.
Yeah, that's a great answer. And one of your last points you made just follow into my next question, which is that as a father, I know you're a father of two. There's obviously the recent police shootings that have happened. Obviously it's a time, a very tenuous time in this country. With you having two sons yourself, being a black man yourself. You have a certain voice, certainly in the Mobile community. People know you. Are you afraid? Let me ask just a two-part question. Are you afraid, first and foremost, for your safety and your potentially your son's safety as they grow older? And are you willing to lend your voice to action that may result in legislation or change? Certainly locally. Because I think you are somebody in the community that people know and respect you, and they say, hey, this is Dwight, So, just take those two questions, and I want to hear your answer.
Okay, definitely, man. It's disheartening to see what's going on, in the world, yeah, especially, with the race and the profiling. And I was just talking to my wife earlier today, and I said people just really don't know what we go through as black men. I was telling her when I initially back in, and this has been going on for years in my life and in my brother's life, I'm sure in y'all's lives as well. I remember when I first got, I bought a Jaguar back in 2004. I just bought it. It was a birthday gift to myself, and I can tell you like 5 times that I got stopped driving that car for absolutely no reason at all. And then they would give me some bogus excuse as to why they stopped me and my brother. He had purchased a BMW a couple months after me, and the same thing was happening to him, So it's like we've been getting profiled for a long time, and I'm at the point now, like, honestly, man, just yesterday I literally got paranoid when a cop pulled up behind me. I just got paranoid. I don't have any warrants or anything like that, but I was just paranoid, just seeing how these situations are escalating. And, everybody that's that has been, like, killed or harmed or shot by police, everybody hasn't like responded, confrontationally, so to speak. We just had an incident here. I'm not sure if you're aware of it, Frank, but a 19-year-old got murdered here in Mobile about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, actually, it's funny you say that. I want to stop you, but we actually talked about that with LaShondra Holmes Young, and we actually talked about that a good bit. So, yeah, that's another one.
So it's here now. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if that wasn't a wake-up call, I don't know what is. And I've already, like, lent my voice, so to speak. We formed this coalition called the Leaders for Truth and Justice, and it consists of Jermaine Burrell, who's going to be running for mayor, Vivian Figures, Senator Vivian Figures, Representative Napoleon Bracey, just to name a few, who big dogs here in his area and doing great things for blacks in the state of Alabama. But we formed a coalition, and we actually drafted a letter that we sent to the mayor because the mayor, a lot of people didn't know this, he had allowed the cop who killed Michael Moore to return to active duty, and the investigation is still ongoing. So that was really like a slap in the face to us as blacks. And pretty much in a letter, in a nutshell, we told him, the people of Mobile, the black citizens have been peaceful. And you allowing this guy to go back to work, you're asking for violence. You pretty much you're gonna fan the flames, so to speak. And the mayor responded, and he pulled the guy back off duty while the investigation continues. So it's just crazy to see what's going on here. The police chief has made some really, really controversial remarks in regards to the shooting. I guess you just have to be black, a black male, or even, just black in general to really understand the plight. So many people are focused on the reactions, but they're not focused on what are causing these reactions. I was talking to Pastor Vincent Robinson the other day, and he was telling me he was talking to a white pastor, and the white pastor was asking him, well, what did you think about all the killing that was going on in Baltimore? And the pastor asked him, well, what did you think about the guy who died in police custody? It's like you can't focus on the violence or what we're doing in response to what caused it. So I'm really, at a loss of words when it comes to it, because I always think about my two sons. A friend of mine called me yesterday, and she was just like, Dwight, when I saw this last shooting, she said, I was literally watching the news and crying, and I was just thinking about, D3 and Saxton, your two little boys, just like, man, it's got to be tough as a black man right now, and then having two black sons, it's like, how do you deal with that? And it's just like, just really day by day at this point, because, D3 is 2, Saxon is 1, but it's really scary, man. That's all it's really scary just to see, just see them killing, really, and they don't care about the cameras, because everybody is getting off, regardless of what evidence is there. Everybody is like killing us, and they're getting off, and you have so many other whites that are confused about Black Lives Matter. It's like they don't understand the difference between Black Lives Matter and All Lives Matter. It's just really a time where, the race issue, it just needs to be talked about more.
We are talking to Dwight Ladd of Ladd Photography in Mobile, Alabama. You can visit laddphoto.com. That's LADD photo.com, and book his services. Check him out. We're very appreciative for having him on today. I kind of want to stick somewhat slightly on that topic with the police shootings. Frank and I, we did we were interviewed on another podcast with Erica Perkins and Ed B called The Wind Down. And one of the questions Erica posed to us was, is there any coincidence or like correlation with all of these shootings of unarmed black men with the election of Barack Obama? And at the time, and I still feel this way, actually, that I don't think when police officers are shooting these males that they're thinking about who the president is. Maybe you may disagree on it, but my somewhat open-ended question to you is, if you go back 8 years to when Obama was first elected, I just remember so much jubilation in this country, especially among, black people. In the article, you mentioned what a big deal it was for you to photograph him on the 50th anniversary of Selma. If you could you talk to us about, could you explain to us, like, what it felt like for you when Obama was first elected and the dynamic of how differently black people in general feel today, not necessarily towards Obama, but what's going on in the race relations? Like, in 2008, there were people that were actually saying racism is over. And fast forward 8 years later, and it's like totally different. Can you speak to that dynamic at all?
Yeah, man, that's a loaded question, man.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I mean, because so much has changed in the 8 years, and like you said, the jubilation, it was just, it was just so palpable. It was so real when he got elected, and to us, it was hope for us because we had never seen this happen before. It was history. But I don't know if did y'all see ever read the comment that Chris Rock made? And it took me a while to really get it when he said, us having a black president isn't black progress, that's white progress.
Oh, I didn't hear that. I thought I was thinking about another comment he made. Okay. Okay, yeah. And when I thought about it, I'm like, man, that was a profound statement because, that is signaling, change for them, to even allow that to happen, to even, cast the votes, in order to make this happen. But I guess what's crazy about it is I've heard so many. I don't know what a lot of blacks expected. I feel like he's done a phenomenal job. That's me personally. I was just, me and my family, we were just praying that he didn't get assassinated while he was in office. Considering what he's been up against, he has.
Okay. Well, the crazy thing is, I think a lot of I think a lot of blacks were just kind of got it misconstrued. I don't know what they were expecting him to, do as a whole. I feel like he's done a lot, but he's gotten a lot of criticism from a lot of blacks. Like, just locally that I talk to, and it's kind of confusing to me. I just know when I was there in Selma, man, when I heard him speak, man, it felt like I was at a Sunday service. You know, his words were so moving, and just to be there and see him, just arrive like they did, with former President Bush, coming out before them, and then, him and First Lady Michelle coming right behind them, just to be there and witness it, it's still surreal to me. Even when I think about it, I still get chills when I think about the fact that I was there. And I was one event away from meeting him personally. I was actually supposed to shoot him and the district attorney at a private event at it was a military institute up there. I can't remember the name of it, but due to a security breach, the Secret Service, they canceled it. So that's when I was supposed to be able to interact with him and the DA and get some up close and personal shots, but I wasn't able to. But because they canceled it, but being able to be where I was and still get what the shots that I got, and just to feel the energy of the people, in that moment, man, it was just amazing.
Again, I'm going to get you out of here with a less serious question, but before I get to it, I do just want to touch on the fact we need to speak Michael Moore's name as much as possible, because
I agree.
While we definitely, we mourn Alton Sterling, and I don't want to mispronounce his name, the guy in Minnesota.
I believe it's Philandio.
Thank you. They have gotten the national attention that they deserve. Michael Moore has not, and
he has not.
So if we can with this podcast and your voice down there in Mobile, we can't say his name enough. So again, Michael Moore, and you mentioned some of the outrageous things the chief said. Man, this interview would go on for an hour if I touched on that, but just from the medical staff removing the so-called gun, since when does that happen? I mean, it's a lot going on with that, folks. And anybody that's listening to this show that's not familiar with this case, just Google Michael Moore, Mobile, Alabama shooting, and it's a lot going on wrong with that. The other thing I wanted to mention, man, I felt like we've kind of downplayed your faith. I want people to really understand the fact that you were coaching basketball. You won a state championship, correct?
Well, actually, man, I actually won one as an assistant coach back in 2006 at Williamson, but we actually made it to the Elite Eight. We won the sub-state twice.
Gotcha.
Both years I was
You stepping away from a consistent check to follow your dreams, and that usually is what scares a lot of people. And you did it. You stepped out on faith, and I just think it's a remarkable story. Again, I encourage people to read that article and learn more about it. Now, I wanted to get you out here with this question. I know you photograph weddings and things of that nature, and you mentioned how big, photographing Obama. What is your favorite thing to photograph? Is it weddings? Is it events? Is it like just people or proms? Like, what is that gives you the most enjoyment in your profession?
Honestly, it's weddings, man. That's what when I was trying to hone my skills, because my degree is actually in broadcast journalism, so I learned the technical side of photography. But when I decided to try to pursue this, I was just going around shooting whatever, shooting people like models, shooting church events, shooting whatever, because I was trying to see what I really like to shoot. And I wound up shooting a couple of weddings at my, for some church members at my church for free. And, man, I fell in love with it, and a friend of mine had referred me to this photographer to check out his work, a guy named Ross Knight in Atlanta, and I just, fell in love, idolizing his work. And I just like the things that I'm able to capture and the moments that are created throughout a wedding day, man. It's just so much that happens in the day, from the preparation, the makeup prep, to the groom getting ready and they hanging out, in the hotel room or whatever they're doing, just to see it all come together and capture it and just see it play out in an album. It's just, I love it. I love being able to capture those moments, man. It's priceless, and then you never know who's going to be here today and gone tomorrow. I shot a wedding. And a lot of people don't think about it, man. I shot a wedding a couple years ago, and literally a week after the wedding, the bride's father passed. Guy looked like he was in good health. You know, was about 6'4". You know, you just wouldn't imagine it. And just to know that that was his last time being photographed with his family, just, of course you don't always anticipate death, but I mean, it's evident. But just being able to capture families together and having a good time, man. I mean, I love it. I wouldn't trade it for anything, man. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Yeah, you create the lasting memories of one of the biggest days of people's lives. So
yes, exactly.
That means something. So, we have been talking to Dwight Ladd again. He of Ladd Photography in Mobile, Alabama. You can visit laddphoto.com. That's LADD photo.com. Check this brother out. We really appreciate you coming on, man. You answer a whole array of questions from Black Lives Matter to your profession. So we really appreciate it, and thank you for coming on Politically Entertaining.
It's not a problem at all, man. Is there one other thing? Can I say one other thing really quickly before we?
Absolutely, man. Yeah. Sure.
Okay. Just going back to what we were saying in regards to the Black Lives Matter movement. One thing that I think is like one of our, I guess, Achilles' heels when it comes to us as a people, when we get wronged, or when one of these situations happen, with the cop killings and the things of that nature. Like right now in Mobile, it's kind of dying down. It's like we get angry and we would react and we get angry and then it dies out. We just kind of fade to black again.
Yeah.
It's like we got to keep the pressure on in order for changes to be made, and we just can't get quiet again. We just can't relax. We have to continue to push the issue like we're doing now with the group that I'm involved with, Leaders for Truth and Justice, to keep, knocking on the mayor's door and keep the pressure on, because they want us to go away. They want us to go away. They wanted to die down. They want to distract us with other things. So if we just stay active with it, I just think we can get a lot more accomplished.
I agree, and I don't know, this is a real quick question. I have said that for some reason, after the Alton Sterling shooting, it felt different. Like, I get what you're saying, how we react and then it dies down. Mm-hmm. This one felt different to where it seems like it's going to have some staying power, mm-hmm. and people are going to stay engaged. Have you felt that way, or am I being naive?
No, I have, especially with the the highway situation. I think that I really think this is like we're at the boiling point, and
yeah,
I don't think we're going to take any more. I think we've been fed up, but I think we're really, really like fed up at this point, and we're going to keep forcing the issue until something is done, man. And there's a lot more I can say in regards to like the media and how the media is handling this, man. It's just, we already know. I mean, it's just it's biased in so many ways, but I think that we're so fed up right now. I really think it's going to have some staying power. I agree with you on that.
All right. Well, again, man, thank you for coming on, and hopefully you'll come back, because I definitely like to discuss some more topics with you, maybe possibly after the election. And you can also come back and probably tell us more on the developments of Michael Moore and what's going on with that case. So,
definitely, no doubt.
All right. Well, thanks again for coming on. Again, folks, visit laddphoto.com. Check this brother out, Dwight Ladd. We appreciate you, brother.
I appreciate the opportunity, man.